What's up, guys? Welcome back for another video. So, last week I was reading an article on CNBC's Millennial Money blog, and it gave me the inspiration to make this video. And that article is about a guy in Florida. He started his own detailing business, and so I was reading it, and I thought, you know what? Why not do let's do some projections on it and see what we can do if we was to take the same business idea and relocate it here to Oklahoma. So what we have on screen here is some assumptions that I made going into this so that we have some stuff to work with. And our salary expense that we're going to be paying ourselves is going to be $13.04 an hour. We're going to be working 6 10-hour shifts per week because we're working a high volume, low cost business model. Our basic detail is going to be 120. Our next detail, full service, is going to be 350. We already have a house that we can park the van at, and I'm just going to snap my hands, and boom, we have a $10,500 van right outside right now. Cool. Rent and utility rates are going to be based off of the average in Oklahoma, so we're just going to throw some numbers in there. Like our rent is going to be $810, and our utilities is going to be about $300 a month. This is going to be our first year in business. Our service area is 250-mile radius of the house, and we only got $500 in cash to make this work. Okay, that's important, but more on that later. Our detailing services are going to take about an hour to do, and for the basic, and 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours to do for a full service detail. So with this current setup, can we start a mobile detailing business? No, we can't. Just look at this right quick. I never said we had a gallon. I never said we had a water tank in the van. I just said we got a van sitting outside. And if you look at these prices for these water tanks, they'll eat up a good portion of that $500, and we still got to get supplies. Like, we still got to get our microfiber towels. We got to get our cleaning supplies, our power washer, stuff like that. We ain't got it. We just got a van sitting outside. So the answer is no, you can't. But that would be boring. Let's assume we have all that stuff already, plus the $500 in cash in the pocket on hand. Let's just assume we have all that stuff. Okay. That's when our pro forma income statement over there off to the right comes in handy. So pro forma means it's a projection. So none of these numbers are concrete because the accounting profession, we look at data from the past to project into the future. We don't deal with future data most of the time. We look at what we did before, analyze that, and then see what could happen later. Anyway, so when you see a pro forma income statement, just don't take all those numbers as concrete. Do analyze it, do look at it, do work with it, but don't be like, hey, this is what we're gonna make at the end of the month. It's like, because no, it's not. What you make at the end of the month is what you made at the end of the month. But anyway, so right here, if you look down here where it says total expenses, we have $3,306.67. Well, obvious problem right here, because I said we're going to work 60 hours a week, and we're going to pay ourselves $13.04 an hour. Okay, so if we're working 60 hours a week, that's 240 hours a month. But when you look at our salary and wage expense here, it's zero, right? There's no expense. And we need to know that before we go to calculate our break-even point up here. So since we're working 60 hours a week, that's 240 hours a month. We're going to put 240 hours in here. And before I hit the enter key, pay attention to what happens to this number right here, this 3,306 number. Pay attention to that, okay? Because right now, if you don't pay yourself a wage, your business costs or your total costs of your business are artificially low. And that's only because we haven't taken into account our salary yet. So now I'm going to hit this enter key, and our total expenses almost double. Cool. Well, that's to be expected when you're working a low-cost, high-volume business model. Your wages are going to make up a lot of your costs. Because if you look over here at this cell right there, it says 48.62%. And what that means is this number right here, this $6,436, of that $6,436, your salary is almost 50% of the total cost. Okay, that's really all that means. Okay, now we're going to calculate our break-even point, and the long and short of it, of what that definition is, that's the point where your revenues pay for your total expenses. Okay, so easiest way to do that on a spreadsheet is hit this equal sign, click the cell, do spreadsheet magic, 53 or 54. So if we do 54 basic details, we will break even and actually make $43.73. Good. We're good there. Let's do the same thing for our full service. Same thing, same kind of spreadsheet magic. 18 or 19. So if we do 54 basic details and 19 full service details, we will double our money right here. You can see our total revenues come out to being $13,130, while our total expenses are $6,436. We have doubled our money. I don't know what this field is, but I don't like it. Oh, okay. That's a percentage breakdown. That's all right. Anyway, where was I at? Yeah. So we doubled our money. I kind of lost myself. So we doubled our money if we do both. But the problem is we got to work 240 hours to do this. And these expenses right here are variable, except for your manager's salary. That one's kind of static because they get paid a salary. But do understand that these expenses, I'm going to highlight these in yellow. These expenses will vary. Okay. So in this instance, we're not going to pay ourselves overtime because we own the business, right? We're not going to pay a manager because we are the manager. We are the management. Management is getting what's left over. We're not paying ourselves overtime, so we're only going to do it at the 1304 rate. But if we started factoring in overtime in a manager's salary, that changes this calculation and it further increases our expenses. And so what you're looking at here is this is just the basic framework of how you do a business projection for maybe a new product, maybe a new service line, maybe a new operation somewhere. This is just the fundamental basis of what you need to look into. Because what this statement highlights to me right now as a entrepreneur or as a consultant to an entrepreneur is that 240 hours of work every month is not sustainable long term. And the reason why that is we're not doing heavy manual labor, but we are doing a physically demanding job. We are exposed to the elements as well. And our vehicle, which is our van, is going to be exposed to risk because each time we move it, we take on more risk of getting into a car accident. So what that means for us is our health insurance is going to be very important. Because if you're laid up in the bed, you're not making any money. The person driving these numbers has to be healthy to do the job. If they're not healthy, they're not doing the job. They're not making the money. The business goes under. But it's the same thing for the van, right? It's the same thing for this van. If the van is not maintained or taken care of, it doesn't matter how healthy you are. You can't get to your customers. You can't perform your service. You can't make your money. Service goes under. So those two expenses right there are major threats to the success of your business. And that's what these statements highlight to you. Okay. If you're not able to look at this statement and look at more than just the numbers, but the people behind the numbers, you'll start this business. You'll see this and be like, oh man, I can double my money if I do 54 and get 19 of these. You'll go headlong right into it. And then you'll start railroading yourself. And that's what you don't want to do. Because have you worked Have you worked a labor intensive job or know someone that does construction or works in like a factory or a warehouse? Or actually, better example, Amazon workers. They got to get those boxes into those trucks over and over and over again. And they're just moving products, going up and down stairs, moving things, stacking things, clearing pallets, moving pallets. That's physically intense work. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body. That wear and tear on the body is going to accumulate over time. So working 240 hours a week, not a week, but a month, is not sustainable long term. So how do we mitigate that? How do we reduce the risk to our health and to the business? Well, we're already looking at the thing. So what we do is we go up here. Since we're doing a low cost, high volume business model, we change the business model. What if we update our prices or increase our prices by 50%? Instead of doing 120, we do 180. We're going to zero this out for now. But instead of doing 120, we do 180. We're going to do some more spreadsheet magic. We're going to take that number, we're going to divide it by this number, 35, 36. We go from doing 54 basic details to 36 basic details just by charging $60 more. We're making the same money, but it's costing us less time. It's reducing the overall risk and risk to the vehicle and wear and tear on the body. That's what you should seek to do. You want to maximize the amount of profit you get every time you perform a service, but also minimize the risk to yourself and to your assets. Because if your assets are taking no risk, if your assets are not taking a risk, or not necessarily taking a risk, if the risk is reduced, your risk of loss is reduced, you have a more sustainable business model, and you're more likely going to succeed. And that's the point of going into business, is to succeed, right? And you can do the same thing. We'll do more spreadsheet magic, right? Boom, 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 18, 19, not 149, but 19. So you know that by just raising your prices, actually, I didn't raise that price. Boom, boom, boom. All right, just by raising your prices, you're able to reduce the amount of work you do. You don't have to work so hard to make the money you need to make. And that's the whole point of this exercise, is just to show you that by doing these things ahead of time before you start doing the business, it saves you time, it saves you money, and it increases your likelihood of success. That's the whole point of this, because you want to know at what price point do I break even, and do I need to work this many hours to do it? Because if I was to cut our hours back down to 160 hours a month at the same price point, that just makes our margins that much wider, which is the goal. We want to maximize price so we can maximize margins, okay? That was the point of this whole exercise. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook. You guys have a good week. See you later. 30 seconds.